Hey, all right. I wanted to read something, y'all. I found this write up from when I got my Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, which is to me a big deal. And the military, it's a part of being decorated. So if you've been keeping up with the videos, you know that I was a Navy corpsman with the Marine unit, and I got a medal. And I just wanted to read some of this to you. I'm gonna leave out like the unit I was with and all this other stuff because you don't need to know all the business, right? All right. So it says Department of the Navy. This is to certify that the Secretary of the Navy has awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. All right. It says during combat in north of Anasiriyah, the hospitalman accurately assessed 13 Iraqi civilians and enemy prisoners of war for life threatening conditions, identifying those in need of immediate medical attention, displaying exemplary poise and situational awareness. He successfully attended to the needs of over 39 victims while responding to a battlefield mass casualty. The hospitalman's keen assessment skills led him to the successful detection and treatment of a life threatening tension pneumothorax in an 8-year-old Iraqi civilian struck by gunfire, averting certain loss of life. The hospitalman's professionalism, initiative, and steadfast devotion to deflect great credit upon himself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and United States Navy service. Yeah, I got that. That was me. And this was September September 1st, 2003. That's crazy. Uh, you do a lot. We do a lot of training and we prepare for so many different things that when it's time to do it, it's sink or swim, right? You gotta decide you're here to do the job, or you're gonna freeze up and someone lose their life. That isn't how we function. That's not the level we were playing on. So it meant a lot to me to get that. And honestly, this is my first time like reading it because the first time uh, it was presented to me, someone read it to me, and then they presented me with the medal, and yeah, it meant a lot. Um, and medicine wasn't something that I ever saw myself in. Um, like throughout high school and stuff, my mom wanted me to be an architect. Parents tend to project what they want you to be, and things like that. And then later she switched up to, oh, you should be a pharmacist. Well, I don't know where that came from. Uh, I guess she figured pharmacist makes good money. I don't know. I don't know the logic. But, after I took my test, my ASVAB to get into the military, they give you a list of jobs you could qualify for. And if you score high enough, you get to get offered the nuke program. That's the nuclear program. I wasn't interested in that. And according to the list I was looking at, the next best thing was the Navy corpsman. So I was like, what is this? And it said hospital corpsman. And it talked about being in the hospital and treating patients and assessing patients and all these things. And I was like, oh, that seems interesting. And according to the little paper I saw, I would have been in a hospital somewhere. Never in a million years did I think that a hospital corpsman would be on the battlefield with Marines and casualties and being a part of a mass casualty and having to put a chest tube in a kid and right there in the thick of it all. So it's a lot. And then you come back to the world as a civilian, and if you didn't take a C school, which is additional schooling, like additional certifications you could get, I chose orthopedics to where I learned how to be an orthopedic technician, and I learned how to do casts and um, like diabetic foot care and all kind of tractions and all this other stuff. But if you didn't take like a C school or anything like that, you have all this knowledge and you're doing all these great things medically, and you come out to the civilian world and you really can't do anything. Like this award doesn't tell all the things that I've done, all the things I've learned, all the things I'm capable of. Then I come back to the civilian world and I can't do anything. And then I see nurses that don't know how to do anything. I see, and no shade to nurses. There are some good nurses, and just like every profession, there's you got your goods and your bads, and I've seen my fair share of bad nurses. I've been in surgeries where the surgeon has walked out and he's expecting the residents to do the closings, and the residents can't, they don't remember how to do uh, their suture knots or their surgical knots. And one time, a resident actually turned to me and was like, "Why isn't this working? Like, do you know how to do this?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Because you're in a position, you're supposed to be able to do this, and I'm having to show residents how to do proper surgical knots. All that to say, it's like, what do I do with that knowledge? Um, because your GI Bill takes care of your bachelor's degree if you were fortunate enough during your military service to go to college. Then hopefully your GI Bill can pick up the slack from any further schooling you want to do. But I, what do you do? When I was, I think I was 19 or 20, um, an Air Force surgeon uh, was observing me do sutures on a young Army guy's face. A generator door hit him in the forehead and cut him deep, and he had like a skin flap. And I was suturing that, and the surgeon was like, "Oh wow, you got good hands, and oh that's gonna heal nicely." And he was like, "You chose the right suture size and everything." He was like, "Yo, you should definitely go to school for this." So he was pretty much telling me, "Hey, you should go to school for and maybe be a plastic surgeon like me." That was his focus, and I was like, "Well, who's gonna pay for that?" And he sat me down and he told me, "Never let money be the reason that you don't do something." Which sounds like great advice, but from my perspective, it's just like money is a big reason why I wouldn't do a lot of things, because I didn't see the vision. Because in his mind, hey, you could take out loans, you could do this, you could do that, and the money will come, to take care of your debts and be able to support whatever it is you want. And so I didn't think about that. And then fast forward to me being out the Navy, and I'm working at a pediatric hospital, and I meet a PA, and he's like an older guy, and he used to be a Navy corpsman, but now he's a PA, which is a physician's assistant. And he was like, "Oh, I have a guaranteed seat at a school in like Philadelphia, and it's yours if you want it. I see potential in you, and you could do great things." And I was just like, and at that time my daughter was on the way, and I was like, man, like I can't go to Philly and do that, and then what's my parenting situation gonna look like? So I had all this stuff to think about. So that's opportunity number two, right? So then one day I decided I'm gonna write my congressman, right? Because I was been working at all these different hospitals by this time, and I was like, maybe I could just challenge this NCLEX exam that the nurses are taking. Because I kept up my medical knowledge, and I'd been working in the hospitals and doing all kinds of things. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I could just ask to take this NCLEX exam. I'm like, hey, I won't tell anybody. So I wrote the congressman to see if they could just allow me to challenge this exam. And I was like, I put it like this. I was like, hey, if I pass it, you let me practice as a nurse, whatever. I get my license, whatever, whatever. We go from there. Because essentially it's based off of my knowledge. I mean, obviously I would have prepared for it. I had the book, the NCLEX book, and all this other study guide and all this other stuff. But, everybody shot me down. I went to their congressman. I wrote an email to like several nursing schools, and I was just like, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Like, hey, couldn't I just, can we just see if I could pass the test? And nobody would give me a chance to do it. And, so I never really went down that path of a practitioner. But it still feels great to, you know, have been recognized for doing great things. And I think that's what where a lot of veterans suffer. Because you go from being this person doing all these important things, and then, when you come back to the world, you just don't feel like you're functioning at that same level. Because once you functioned at that high level, it's very hard to kind of bring it down a couple of notches and slow things down. It's something to think about, you know. Yeah, I think about it a lot.